Once again, dear friends, I truly feel honored to have been invited as a woman of the Mediterranean to contribute to this particular plenary session, which will explore the contributions of Mediterranean women as the present and future leaders of positive change in our region. As the President of Malta, I have had first-hand experience of the specific challenges being faced by the women and the girls of our region. Through my experiences, I can confirm that many of the challenges we face as women are due to the multi-layered factors of social, economic, and cultural discrimination, injustices, and inequalities. While we must certainly speak about these challenges, we must certainly discuss such challenges, we must certainly find solutions for such challenges. I would like before delving further into my contribution, to remember that women have, throughout our history, stood out as inspiring contributors to the prosperity and the progress of the Mediterranean region. Therefore, let me take this opportunity to honor some of these women by name, starting with Hypatia of Alexandria. Her life was ended in the year 415 as a victim of femicide, but she's still our first model of scientific freedom and discovery to this day. Let me mention Verdemura, a scholar from Sicily who graduated as the world's first female medical doctor in 1376. Let me mention Artemisia Gentileschi, one of the most celebrated and progressive painters of the 17th century. Gentileschi not only achieved excellence as an artist, but also participated in the prosecution of her rapists at a time when women were often excluded and ignored. Let me mention Madame Curie, the first woman and the only woman who was awarded twice the Nobel Prize for her scientific research. And let me also take this opportunity to pay tribute to the late Fatima Mernissi, the celebrated Moroccan scholar and feminist who died 3 years ago. Mernissi inspiringly said, and I quote, "The real mistake of women was to let the memoir, the collective, the history, the space of producing history fall into the hands of man alone." We must rectify this mistake by making use of spaces like this conference to regain and to celebrate our own history as the proud women of the Mediterranean. The resilience, the courage, and the determination of all of these women and so many more is part of our Mediterranean DNA. The legacy of our foremothers is an essential part of the rich heritage of the Mediterranean region, which must inspire us to continue to pursue a world of equality and equity for the benefit of both present and future generations. For this reason, I believe we must continue acknowledging the vital role that women play to nurture the positive changes that are taking place across the region. Despite progress in the legislative sector of many of our Mediterranean countries, it is an unfortunate reality that behaviors, attitudes, traditions, and customs take much longer to be transformed. Therefore, we need to continue to create safe and respectful spaces, to actively listen to women and girls from our societies. We must do more to act upon their needs and their aspirations. Our engagement is even more essential at a time when, unfortunately, the Mediterranean region continues to experience conflicts, rising extremism, and diverse socio-economic and environmental changes. However, even when faced with social unrest, indicators show us that women are a force for positive and long-lasting change. Research shows us that the empowerment of women and the attainment of gender equality are intrinsically linked with sustainable peace and inclusive prosperity within our societies. According to research by the International Peace Institute, there is clear evidence that women have a powerful impact to resolve conflicts. We must be catalysts to address inequalities, prejudice, and discrimination, which create unnecessary social tensions in our communities and in our nations. We must, through our work for equity and equality, achieve effective gender equality to build a culture of positive peace. I dream of the day when the Mediterranean region will be a model of equity, equality, and inclusion for the rest of the world. I so believe that our diversity is our strength. I believe that underlining our individual society diversity, there are many common values which we need to continuously explore and strengthen. We need to put together a forward-looking strategy and a plan of action to ensure that inclusion, equality, and peace are the building blocks upon which our societies are strengthened to become resilient. Peace can only be considered positive when it is part of the social, cultural, and economic fabric of a society and its people. As positive peace is not simply the absence of war. Positive peace, therefore, must be accompanied by the political will, not only to find sustainable solutions to existing conflicts, but also to be an ongoing process to ensure inclusion, equity, and equality. For this reason, we cannot let women continue to be absent from positions of leadership and decision-making. Dear friends, the empowerment of women is the foundation for much desired stability, peace, and prosperity of our Mediterranean region. However, too many women do not have access to their rights, nor do we enjoy the same opportunities as our male counterparts. It is essential that we address the traditions, customs, and stereotypes that are holding back so many girls and women from their rightful participation in economic, social, and political life. According to OECD, the equal contribution of women and men in the economy could increase our GDP, our economic growth, across the Mediterranean by more than 25%. Imagine what prosperity we can bring to our countries. Furthermore, indicators from UNIDO tell us that women in the Mediterranean region report that access to markets, stronger networks, appropriate financial services, and an emphasis on women's entrepreneurship are essential prerequisites for their economic empowerment. Gender equality is definitely a fundamental human right. Gender equality is not about obscuring or distorting the differences between women and men. Gender equality is about embracing diverse people of all genders and creating a context in which each and every person can pursue their legitimate aspirations and be respected in the fullness of their human dignity. Promoting the effective implementation of women's rights and access to all opportunities is crucial to ensure peace, stability, and prosperity in our societies. We definitely know what should be done to achieve these goals. So much so that the ministers of the 43 member states of the Union, through the ministerial declarations of Istanbul, Marrakesh, Paris, and most recently, Cairo, have actually created a region-wide agenda to promote women's rights. I am convinced that collaboration amongst our national authorities, civil society organizations, and communities is crucial to implement this agenda. Let me give a couple of examples from my own country, where the right strategies with the right political will for women empowerment left and are leaving effective, positive results in a short time. A number of initiatives taken by my government to promote the participation of Maltese women in the workforce, which include back-to-work fiscal incentives, increase in maternity and adoption leave, tax credits for women returners, free childcare facilities, and breakfast and after-school clubs for children, have managed to raise participation of Maltese women in the workforce by 20% in just 4 years. Unfortunately, the lack of proper female representation in political leadership will continue to hinder further advancement for women in all sectors. It is an urgent need for women to be properly represented, so as their perspectives and their aspirations, our perspectives, are present at the highest levels of policy making and decision taking of our countries and our region. Listening and responding to the concerns of women will also give our public and private sectors an essential insight into the different experiences. On concluding, I look forward to hearing from our distinguished panelists about the way in which gender considerations have been embedded in the private sector and private-public partnerships created in our respective countries. I augur that this will also be a space for the sharing of good practices within and amongst civil society activists by highlighting the positive and concrete changes that can be made within our Mediterranean communities. We must not be afraid to break taboos. We must not be afraid to raise our voices. We must not be afraid to demand the rights and the dignity of each and every woman in the Mediterranean. We should not allow any woman in our Mediterranean region to feel alone. I believe that this spirit of solidarity would be the most significant achievement we could hope to create through the outreach of the Union for the Mediterranean and our efforts during this conference. Solidarity and networking between women alongside men is the only way forward for us to effectively promote the role of women as agents of economic development, as the builders of peace, and as the inspirational spokeswomen for our communities, our societies, and our Mediterranean region. Thank you.